Hello everyone and welcome to Ants USA. Today we are going to be making a Outworld. So, for you those guys that don't already know, an Outworld is basically this. It's basically a place that resembles the real world outside on the ground where your ants can hunt and get water and collect supplies and anything else they need. This is an example of one. This is one I built earlier today. This was my trial one. It's going to be part of my Outworlds later. Basically, I have four water sources and some natural-looking plants and stuff, and I'm going to be using this in my actual setup. But this was for a test run to make sure I knew everything. I did learn a lot. So, we are going to be making one, though, not looking at one. So, this is the Tupperware I'm using. Okay? Decently big. This is for... so that way you can make topography. So if you want to have it tilted a little bit, going towards the back like I'm going to do, I'm going to put this in the front so that way it kind of, the grout goes that way. So basically, if you don't already know what you need, go back to my last video and watch the what you'll need segment of this. But this is going to be us building it. And for sake of time, I'm just going to get right into it. So this is my grout. I've been mixing it for the last 10 minutes. I just added a little bit of water. The requested amount of changes based on brand. And I've been mixing it up for 10 minutes and it's ready to go in. So let's go ahead and pour it in, guys. I'm going to start at the front because it's going to go back naturally. So I want to make sure it coats the floor so that way the sand sticks okay. I didn't get a whole lot of grout. I would recommend getting more than what I got for your setup, especially if you want more topography in yours. This isn't... probably not enough for something like this, but unfortunately this is all I have, so this is what I have to roll with. Try and keep it off the sides. I know I'm getting a little bit on the sides, but that's kind of inevitable. Keeping it off the sides is best, because that means you don't have to clean it later. You're going to have about 30 minutes from when this starts to, when you mix this, from when it dries. So you want to work decently fast, but it doesn't really take a whole lot of time to get what you're looking for. And I found building my last one that you usually have more time than it says you do to work with it. Just so you guys know, my voice is a little weird because I'm wearing a lot of safety. I'm wearing a safety mask and I have safety glasses on. I do actually should put on my gloves I have here. I forgot about that. You should wear gloves. Whole 9 yards. Make sure you guys are set up before this starts because you don't want to find yourself needing something halfway through and have to run and get it and have it dry before. That's okay. I'll set it up later once I get all the grout out. So you guys can find grout about any hardware store, like an Ace, Home Depot, Lowe's, all of the above, and you can get basically any color you want, and sanded or not sanded or whatever. Really anything will work. Okay, that's about it. See, just a little bit left. I'm gonna start shaping, I think. So, put that aside. I'm gonna put this up here, and I'm going to stand up and start moving it around to my liking. So, the thickness should be, I'd say melting ice cream, or maybe caramel thickness. I'm going to spread this out however you'd like it. Like I said, I'm not sure if you guys can see too well, but it's looking a little light on the amount of grout I have, so I would recommend getting more than what I had, but I think I'll make it work. Grout isn't too expensive. That was about $5 for that can, so don't need to worry too much about that. It looks like I'm not going to have enough to make any topography, but I am. So I'm trying to try and keep it flat and get it spread out. Because the most important part is make sure everything's covered in grout, or else all your stuff won't stick. Or you have showing through plastic, and I doubt you guys want that. Okay, we're just about good. This isn't looking bad. I'm just trying to cover up the last bits of plastic before I start putting my stuff down. I want to make sure I have it covered. Okay. I'll show you guys a top view in a second of what it should look like. Okay, that'll flatten out for sure in a little bit. I'm just gonna put this over here, and I'll show you guys what I got. So, now that you've basically done grouting, besides clearing off the edges, which I'll do later, that's basically what you want it to look like. Okay. I would recommend putting more grout and having it kind of have some topography going on. If you guys want to build a mountain or something, you can do that. You'll just need more grout than what I got. Okay. Now that we've done that, let's do step 2. So now you got your rocks and your stuff over here. You're going to want to start putting that stuff in. So I'm going to start off with the pool that I got for honey. So I think I'm going to put that right about there. Right there. This stuff is pretty strong, so you don't have to worry about getting it buried in it. You know, as long as you're not screwing around with it all the time, it should stay pretty well in there. I'm going to put this flat stone down as a place to put food for them. So 2 food places are right next to each other. And then this is going to be the back, so I'm going to start putting some plants in. I want to make sure the plants aren't touching the sides, because if you end up putting your baby powder barrier on, if they can climb over it, then your baby powder isn't going to work. So that should definitely be a concern, or something that you guys think about when putting in your plants. Alright, some rocks here I'm going to put in. Like I said, you don't really have to worry about burying it because it'll get stuck. And the rocks are too big for the ants to move in most cases. And even if they do, there's not a whole lot of places they can go with it. So I'm going to put a pile over in this corner over here. Oops, whatever. Add a little bit of topography, even though I couldn't with the grout. The rocks will be fine. Okay, that's looking actually pretty decent. You can do whatever you guys want with this. The grout is really the only restraining part. Everything's going to need grout in there, pretty much. I mean, unless you want to do a natural look, which you guys can look to other channels of doing that. I'll probably do one of those in the future, but not now, as this is my first Outworld. And these are usually the easiest. These rocks that I'm putting on the sides, they probably won't really get stuck in very well, so you have to be careful when you're moving it around that it doesn't get dislodged. My other one, the rock I put in there, did kind of get dislodged, and that's just kind of what happened, unfortunately. Don't be stressed if you don't use all your stuff. That's going to happen. You know, I'm not using all my stuff. I still have quite a bit of rocks and stuff left over here, but I used most of it. Now for the sand. So now you're going to want to cover up all the areas that isn't covered by anything else. So you're just going to take your sand, whatever color you choose, and you're just going to start kind of lightly dusting it. This is probably a little bit much, but doing more is better than doing too little, because you can always pour out whatever didn't stick later. And that's what I did with my old one. I put a bunch on, I just poured off all the stuff that didn't stick. Okay, I would check back on this a couple times over the next hour or 2, or even 3, and make sure that everything is still covered with sand. If the grout changes a little bit in terms of flatness or whatever, there might be some uncovered spots that weren't covered before, so you need to add some more sand. But that's kind of like why I like adding a lot of extra, so that way, if that does happen, there's still a lot of sand in there to work with. Make sure you get under plants and stuff. Cover up the edges real good. It's really hard to clean out a lot of this, so I like covering up the edges a lot in case, you know, I'm probably just going to have to leave some of the grout on the edges. I will clean it up. You guys will see in a second. That'll probably be the last thing I do. So make sure everything's covered to your liking. You know, you don't, if you like the color of the grout, you don't have to cover it up completely. You can leave some of it bare, but that's up to personal decision. Okay, let me show you guys. So that's what your Outworld's going to end up looking like. You guys can see that only took me about 10 minutes, and it looks pretty good, actually. Especially compared to my last one, and it worked really well. All this is going to come right off later, right? I'm going to clean up the edges a little bit now, and then we'll be about done with this video. The clean up the edges is probably one of the hardest parts of doing this, honestly, because you don't want to, you want to get it off because you want your viewing experience to be clean, but you don't want to get screw up the ground in your efforts to clean it. This is why it's important to try and make sure it doesn't get on the edges. I didn't do a great job of that. That's okay. Alright guys, well, I don't think I'm going to make you guys sit around while I clean this, because this will probably take 10 or so minutes of me just cleaning it. So, leave a like if you liked it, leave a dislike if you disliked it, subscribe, follow, yeah, you guys know what to do. Thanks for watching, guys. It's been Ants USA.